Round 13 could possibly see a 0-12 Essendon hosting a 1-11 Carlton, in or out.
In, we can only hope that there is a God. Hello everyone, welcome to Eddie and Jimmy as we get set for Gather Round. Unbelievable, it was wonderful last week with 84,000 on the Monday of the big game, and it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. Jimmy, as we get set for a huge Gather Round, I think this has been one of the great things. It's a knockoff of Magic Round, but we have taken it, the AFL, well done, and Peter Malinauskas, the South Australian Premier, and taken it to a whole new level. So well done to the AFL and South Australia on doing so. Right, let's go straight into this. Thanks to our friends at Fiji Airways and Hyundai, our special sponsors, great friends of the show. Shorting, holding or buying. First of all, are you shorting, holding or buying Fiji Airways and going to Nandi and to one of the resorts mid-season rather than going overseas somewhere, Jim?
Well, hopefully I'm shorting it because your friend Paul Scurry is going to give me a free one. So then I don't actually have to buy it.
But it's almost free anyway. The prices are so cheap. And by the way, they are the best prices, and you use all your frequent flyer points because they're one world, straight into Vancouver, into LA, into San Francisco, and into Dallas. And then, of course, if you really want to keep going, it might be the long way around, but you don't have to go over the Middle East. You can go from Dallas then, of course, into Europe if that's the way you want to do things. Righto. Hyundai, our special friends, shorting. Jack Gunston, 100 goals, averaging 4 a game at the moment.
Oh, I'm still holding. I think when you have a look at the 100 goal kickers, there's a big bag in there, which just gives you a little bit of a buffer if someone or your team just has an off day or you have an off day. So I'm just holding. I want to see it more than anything else. I love watching Jack Gunston play footy, but if he kicks a bag of 6 or 7, I'm going to start buying heavily.
I think you've got to kick a 12 almost in there. But
12.
I'm
We're not on the old 18-game seasons anymore. They've
but
got
I'm just
23 games.
Oh,
Extra 5 up your sleeve.
Sorry, I thought I was having my say. Okay.
Stop it.
No, you won't get 100. North Melbourne.
I'm buying all the positivity around North Melbourne.
Yeah.
I want to buy Clarko. I want to buy McKercher. I want to buy Cooper Trembath. I'm going to buy early on his stocks as well. I'm buying Luke Parker.
George Wardlaw.
The Wardlaw. I'm buying
great.
Luke Parker at the half back line, kicking absolute piss missiles into the
And
inside
the
50.
What about the Shees?
Yeah, and one of my favourite players.
Nick Larkey?
No, Paul Curtis. I'm a big Paul Curtis.
Curtis,
Yeah,
I like
love Paul
Larkey.
Curtis.
I like Larkey. He's got a good personality about him too, and he's great. Short
I'm
holding
buying positivity of North.
What about Melbourne?
Yeah, well, speaking of positivity, and Stephen King, a good mate, teammate of mine, of course, I'm cheering for him hard. I'm going to buy some positivity of Melbourne on and off the field.
Stick with this. Cozzy Pickett for the Brownlow.
I've got him one of the leaders in the Bartel medal.
Yeah. He's just playing absolutely with complete freedom, and your mate, the coach, Stephen King, I understand, has really got to him and said, righto, you get out there with your cousin and just play and enjoy. Yeah. And suddenly the joy of football's back at Melbourne. And you can see it. You see it in their crowds. You can see it on the ground. You can see it the way they play. They're a good team to watch at the moment. What about my boys, the Pies?
I'm holding Collingwood. They're too experienced. They're well organised. I think Craig McRae sometimes gets overlooked as far as his tactical nous and his ability to try things in game. And I saw him coaching from the bench against Brisbane, and he identified where they were getting beaten inside and out. And was all okay. Let's take one thing away. And I think sometimes because of what was that TV show about the soccer coach?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. I think sometimes we just think he's Ted Lasso and he's feel good and sunshines and daisies, but I think we sometimes underestimate his tactical nous.
Yeah, exactly.
Marvel roof open on clear nights.
Yeah, as long as it's not raining. I mean, the reason for the shutting of the Marvel is not because necessarily the rain, it's because of the sunshine, because it was built the wrong way. On clear nights, if it's not going to rain, beautiful. Great.
Yeah.
But having said that, as long as it's hot, otherwise what you do is you let all the dew in and no one can pick the ball up.
Yep, that's right.
So I reckon maybe for another 2 weeks and then shut it.
Yep. Gather round jumpers, you short, holding or buying?
What are they doing it, are they?
Yeah, they've all got like a themed jumper, or quite a few teams. I think majority of teams have got a gather round jumper.
Collingwood's not changing its, are they?
Oh, I'm shocked.
Oh, we don't.
No,
Let everyone else
no.
have fancy dress. Yeah, I suppose for everyone else, go your hardest.
I'll buy it. It's fun to see. Hey, the smother. The old
love it.
smother. I'm buying
Love
the
it.
smother. How good was Pierce's smother? And then, of course, Wardlaw's
But did you
Yippies.
notice that they smothered it like they used to in the AFL, i.e.
across the boot.
watch the ball across the boot, hands crossed, and actually get on top of it, rather than this sort of under 11 stuff that's come into it. Up half.
What it hurts at about 7:30 in the morning
Nah,
with the
exactly.
synthetic footy.
Especially if you cop it in the beak. But
Yeah.
no, it's good. Some decent smothering, some hard, aggressive football. I liked it. Speckies!
I'm always buying the Specky. I know the Specky has got some negative publicity with a couple of guys getting concussions, but I always buy the Specky.
Yeah, absolutely. How would we get the Specky? They've got to actually pay the mark a bit. Not go back to Gary Ablett over Gary Pert, but but give them a bit more leeway. Is what I'm saying. I think if you're flying for a mark, they don't pay it. You used to be able to just control it, otherwise, poof, get it, and you'd pay it. I think they're making it a bit hard to actually pay the mark, and that's stopping people going for the big marks. We've got to get more people going for big marks.
Yep. Well, my idea with that is you put a nice little pool in and you have greater money for Mark of the Year and Goal of the Year, and you have people flying for them. Music after goals. I know you're a big fan of Country Roads, especially what's been played in the grand final.
In the grand final, yeah. No, I mean, look, I don't care. Knock yourself out. I'm not going to, it's not my go. I used to, what I really loved? I loved the atmosphere. I think we've lost, the two teams walking to position, particularly on grand final day, and just hearing the crowd build up, and then that magic sound of the umpire holding the ball aloft. They used to have the three, when they used to line up, for the national anthem and things, and the umpire, the timekeeper would ring it three times. They do it twice now. I don't know why they took that third one out. In any form of communication, 3 is the way you do things. So they've changed that. But I used to like just everyone building up, and you could feel it coming together, and the crowd would start to build up and hold it up, because we've taken the bounce out of it. So let's get the throw up going. I'd like to see that come back into it. I don't know if we need the music so much. The problem is that because we've gone to, in the old days, if you kicked the goal, if you're on a run, if you had the run on going, she's got to throw it straight back. The banner umpire sprint back in, you get back into the game. Now we have a minimum of 45 seconds to get the ad breaks away. So that's why it sort of killed that whole, from the goal to the next ball up, and the incessant cheering, if you like. People have learnt you cheer the goal, do a bit of a chant, then sit down and wait for 30 seconds. So that's where they're putting the music in, so it probably works.
Yep, I want them to hold that siren at the start of the game like someone's fallen asleep on it. The NFL ticket prices, well, I'm just holding. They are what they are. Like if you're going to go, it's supply and demand, and lots of people wanted to go.
Can I just say to that Hawthorn bloke who was in that story that was done by Jake Noel the other week, who complained about the price of going to the footy, he got it up to $100 on his own after he had been to the food tent 5 times. Welcome to what happens in the real world, right? So football prices are so cheap, AFL prices, compared to any ticket anywhere in the world. They are so cheap. That doesn't mean that they need to be dearer, and I still like the idea. I don't know if they still do this, but when I was a kid, on a Friday, you'd go up to the PE teacher and he'd have tickets for kids to go to the footy. And I love that idea. I'd love to have more organised kids going to the football, buses put on to get them from areas that maybe don't know. I think that's what we should do. We should be actually putting on, making it as easy as possible for parents and kids to go to the footy as much as they can, particularly at the MCG.
Can't disagree with that, Ed. Time for in or out on the following statements. We'll fire these off pretty quickly.
Go.
No lead is safe in 2026. In or out? In.
We love it.
It's
6-6-6
football.
opens it up
Play
and
on.
actually going forward, play on. Yep, love it.
Round 13 could possibly see a 0-12 Essendon hosting a 1-11 Carlton. In or out?
In, we can only hope that there is a God. That would be fantastic. It would be. Well, it means that Collingwood's beaten both of them, so I'm happy with that. But yep. And you know what? That'll be a game. That'll be a game. Yeah, they're both going. Oh,
Like bastards.
that'll be like a grand final. It'll just be it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, Carlton's
if it
next
is.
six are very difficult. We highlighted that the other day. Essendon, I guess Richmond have got a boatload of injuries. I think they got in a couple of weeks. Of course, Dreamtime at the G, so they might be able to get off the zero there.
Yep.
Hey, we need to ditch the edge and borrow the cricket stump technology and have the posts light up on impact for any posters in or out. The only problem is there's a bit of bumping into goalposts when...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that'll light it up.
Yeah. Your fullback will be standing on the line, just kicking the bottom of the post.
Giving a little bit of an elbow or a kick at the bottom.
If there's one thing we're good at in football, it is cheating.
Manipulating the rules is the term.
Is that it? Yeah, okay, cheating. So, the good idea doesn't work. But, yeah, Melbourne stadiums should host gather around hubs showing all games to give Victorian footy fans something to do. Oh, yeah, you can do that. They're called pubs, aren't they?
Yeah. Pubs.
That's it. Yeah.
Pub round.
Go to the pub. Go and enjoy yourself. Go. You know what? You should go to your local footy game and watch it down there.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's what they should do. The local competition's got to get their head around these things. So if there's a Friday night game or a Thursday night game, maybe play a game at a local ground and get everyone down there. Yeah.
For the purpose of theatre, the AFL and South Australia will announce a long-term gather-round deal just before the final match of the weekend, in or out, which is Port Adelaide and St Kilda. Yes.
Oh, well, I hope so. Yeah, it would be good to get to. Well, if they're going into 2 years of playing grand finals, they can go into a couple of years of gather-round so that we can build more towards it. So the other thing with this is not just turning up; it is all the other. What we call shoulder programs and activities that you can build around it. So to get the best out of Gather Round, the South Australian government needs a little bit of tenure, I believe, and that would be a good thing. Finals have arrived in South Australia this weekend. Sydney and the Gold Coast, Hawthorn and Western Bulldogs, in or out?
I'll go in because they'll be cracking games. Hopefully they are finals like atmosphere. The Swans were blistering against the Eagles. Gold Coast.
Swans were great.
Gold Coast got a bit of a lesson, or as Damien Harvey copped a kick in the nuts for not competing around the contest. Yeah. And I love this game. A few injuries for the Western Bulldogs, which is a bit unfortunate. Of course, Tim English and Ed Richards out, big outs. But the Hawks, what a win against the Cats. And I think they might be riding a bit of a high off the back of that.
Yeah, and Artie's out as well, who was playing great football.
My apologies, Artie. He kicked 3 in the first half.
He did. Gold Coast, I was very happy to be able to send a message to my good mate Tony Cochran, who never misses if the pies get done, just to say, the variation on the old joke, mate, what's big and green and causes an eclipse of the sun? The MCG. Yep, got him.
Eddie, time to tip our way through this. You got a 2-run lead here, 25-23. They open the gather round. Adelaide taking on Carlton, 7:40 p.m. Adelaide Oval. Who have you got? Have you got the Crows, or can Carlton get a win?
Adelaide wins at home, 24 points. It's a big game for them, and they need to start winning a few games. They keep getting beaten by a goal, so it's time for them to have a good win against the Blues.
Yes, Simon, good win by the Crows for 30 points. Friday night, Collingwood versus Fremantle. Back-to-back games at the Adelaide Oval for Freo.
Yeah, I just barracked for the Pies, so that's it.
I'm going to go Freo by 8 points.
Yeah, so
North Melbourne versus Brisbane. Brisbane's got a fair point. They keep pummeling sides in grand finals and keep ending up off Broadway during gather round, and they seem to play North Melbourne nearly each year during gather round. Yeah,
well, they'd be pretty happy with that, though, so don't complain about everything. They're at Barossa Park. Just turn up and play, okay?
I think the Lions...
The Lions will win by 10 goals.
28 points.
Okay. Lions. Essendon and Melbourne. At Adelaide Oval.
If it's the Melbourne that showed up against Gold Coast, they'll win by a considerable margin. I liked Essendon's second half, but can they start that way this week against Melbourne? I liked Archer May. A couple of big contests as well. Zach Merritt was good in the second half, but I got the D's winning this. But in a close one.
And by the way, if Alexandra Merritt's coming over, Fugazi's a really good restaurant just across the road.
Fugazi.
Okay.
Yeah, Fugazi.
Yeah.
Fugazi.
That's it, exactly. Sydney, what are we up to?
Sydney Gold Coast.
Yep.
Norwood at the Skinny Boy.
Yeah.
If you didn't get in your park, is Skinny. Wait.
Yeah, I know.
You get to Norwood.
Well, that's why I'm going to go for Sydney. smaller ground. I like that. They have the wide ground, of course, the fat boy up in Sydney. But I think Sydney there to beat
Sydney's
Gold
won
Coast.
by about 10 points.
Just.
Great game here, Hawthorn and Western Bulldogs.
I'm going for Hawthorn only because the injuries at the Bulldogs.
Same. Injuries. Hawks, don't be surprised Bont puts on a clinic, but the Hawks for me by 13
Sunday,
points.
Geelong
versus
West Coast.
12:30 at Norwood, the Skinny Boys, so it should be like home for Geelong. Geelong by 28 points.
It's another ground that could do with some wings.
No, they're out of space. GWS Footballing Giants versus the Richmond Tigers. They might as well compare the pair with all their injuries, both of these sides. The Giants have to win this.
Yeah,
they just
win.
have to win. They're out at the Barossa Park.
Yep, and they win.
Yep.
Port Adelaide and St Kilda. This is a ripping game, this one. If the Saints get rolled here, my goodness, then the pressure does come on. And Port Adelaide are just going at the minute. So I think St Kilda wins.
Yeah, but, I think this is
almost grand final.
Game.
But this is a Port Adelaide team that, they really get up for these games over here. This is big time. Remember what they were like in the old state games? They really get fired right up. But, this is St Kilda's moment. I'm going to go with the Saints.
Same.
Not with a whole lot of confidence, but I'm going with them.
Yeah, no, I think this is Ross the boss. He's going to be vintage Ross.
Join us on Instagram, YouTube. Search for Eddie and Jimmy. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Jimmy, are you coming over?
No, I am doing breakfast radio currently here in Melbourne for 3AW, 5:30 to 8:30.
Yes,
in the morning.
Enjoy it, mate. I've been listening in. You and Marco sounding great.
Thanks,
continue the great work, buddy. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you after Gather Round next week on Eddie and Jimmy.